Hi, hello, Talking Hoops with Jason Andera. Jandy, what's going on?
Talking hoops is one of my favorite things to do, and when I get to do it with Tom Nieman, it's even better. Gosh, this is fun.
Let's talk about who's hot for the week of, what would it be, last week of January.
Yeah, since we talked
throw,
last.
Throw a couple out there.
We've had some good performances out there. White River came in with a really tough game against Platte Geddes. Platte came in with just the one loss, and Joe Sayler has been absolutely blowing up lately. 33-point game against Platte Geddes. 8 rebounds, and that's against the top-level team, so I got to give him props. How about Paul Bruns? I mean, he has been averaging 30 points a game this year, but he went for 44 against Sioux Falls Christian. They just didn't win. Like, if you watch that game, that was one of the biggest games last week. Did you see anything?
No, I just saw the afterwards, but
the score.
Sioux Falls Christian beat him by 20, but Bruns was very good.
From beginning to end, they did. But Paul Bruns went for 44 points in that game, 10 rebounds, hit 7 3-pointers. He was outstanding.
He's pretty good.
But his counterpart, Noah Van Donker's good, also had a good game, and he's had a really good week. He had a 29-point game against Groton on Saturday, and then that big game against Dakota Valley, 22 points in that one. So give him some props, too. He's been hot. How about Caleb Simons out of Edgemont? We don't talk a lot about Edgemont, but this kid is the school leader with 1,475 points all-time in points, rebounds, and free throws. And he went for a 27-point, 11-rebound game just last week. And you know what? There's so many good players across the state. Sometimes we forget about some of these teams that aren't always in the top 5.
Give us his name again.
Caleb Simons.
From Edgemont. I'm thinking about all the state tournaments I've ever seen, and if Edgemont has ever been to one that I remember, and I don't, but maybe this year.
Terrific quarterback. He's also been a terrific part of the team, and like I said, 1,475 career points. So he's got a shot at getting pretty dang close to 2,000 career points. So, like I said, we go through the top 5 teams all the time, but it's good to hear about how some of these other kids are doing. How about on the girls' side?
How about the girls? Who's hot?
Lexi Unruh, I tell you what, has had a great season coming off her ACL injury. First game of last season has come back, and she's heading to Creighton next year to join Emma Ronsick, and she has been outstanding this year. Put up a 30.8 rebound game against Dakota Valley, a really good Dakota Valley team. She's been good. Brooklyn Kusler out of Aberdeen Central. Ever heard of those Kuslers before?
A couple of them, yes.
But Brooklyn, heading to Southwest State to play volleyball, is a pretty good basketball player as well. Went for 41 points against T last week. Didn't give her the game ball, by the way. I should have, maybe. She was number 2 on my list. And then this week, against Brandon Valley, the first big game, big tough contest for Aberdeen Central after being undefeated, she puts up 25 points and gets a road victory for her team. So she's been on fire lately. And then how about Addison Roselle out of Redfield, 24.19 rebound. I love the 19 rebound games. Those are huge.
Roselle's and Kuslers.
Roselle's and Kuslers from Northeast.
Yes.
You got it. Yeah, so a huge game for her against Millbank. Those are just a handful. We always wait through the end of the Tuesday games to give out the game balls, but a lot of good candidates getting started here, and then Wednesday we'll come up with who gets the boys and girls game ball.
Aberdeen Central girls 12-0. One of the few unbeaten teams in any class in girls in South Dakota. Sioux Falls, Washington, still the only unbeaten team in boys any class in South Dakota right now.
And let's give them credit on the defensive side. This is a team that has been shutting teams down. They held Yankton to under 50 points. They held Lincoln to almost under 40 points. They have been outstanding defensively, and they've really trimmed their rotation to about 6 players right now, and those guys are playing really good together.
Talk about AA boys just for one more second. You got Washington, Yankton's right there. Mitchell's got 1 loss. Mitchell's 10-1, only loss to Sioux Falls Christian, right?
Yeah, they haven't lost in AA yet this year.
And then you go down to Harrisburg. Where do you draw the line in boys AA right now?
Well, Harrisburg belongs there. And to me, when Roosevelt plays up to their potential, they belong in that group of elite teams. Brandon Valley, I ranked in the top 5 this week. They didn't make the top 5, but I think when they put it all together, they're definitely a team to be talked about.
Roosevelt and Brandon Valley are 7-5, but we've seen them play very well at times.
Yeah, and then Rapid City Central, a team that can hang with those teams, hasn't gotten a really marquee victory to hang their hat on yet, but Micah Swallow, Julian Swallow, Cole Meisman, those guys are so good. I don't think anybody wants to run into them in postseason, and why couldn't they? They could play right along with those top teams in the class. There's a lot of good teams in AA this year.
And a good game coming up on Friday, Harrisburg and Yankton. Before we get to that, you know what people love about basketball? Dunks. Jandy. They love to see dunks, Jandy. What do you got?
And that's why every month I put together the Thunder Report. Let's comment on these dunks, Tom. I got to get your comments sometimes.
Like watching fireworks?
It's fun. We're going to start in Pier. There's two sophomore teammates in Pier. Here's one of them. Lincoln Keenholz. Look at that explosion off the baseline.
Nice.
That's pretty good. And he's also got a teammate who's a sophomore. In that same game, had 3 separate dunks. There's one. There's 2.
Okay.
And there's 3. Jackson. So a pair of sophomores, watch out for Pier.
Like it?
Now this one, Spencer
nice.
Fernholz. He told me this is the first time in a game I've taken a rebound and flushed it. And then Micah Swallow on a weekly basis.
Micah Swallow's about 6'1", maybe.
About 6'3".
Is he?
But look at this Micah Swallow. It's even better. Right? His brother puts one up for him, and he puts it half pump. That's how you do it.
Okay. What was the one before that? The follow-up was outstanding.
Yeah.
From Miller.
From Miller.
All right.
Spencer Fernholz.
All right.
Dylan Drew. He's from Gettysburg. He's been flying all year long, but you're right. The Spencer Fernholz one was pretty crazy. Let's head out to Newell. It's a breakaway dunk by Zach Bertolato, excuse me, but he had 2 in the same game. The second one here, a little more contested.
Easy.
Just gliding.
Nice video from Newell, too.
Yeah, good job, Newell. Who else do we got? Of course, Matthew Moore is playing Sioux City East.
Always 2 hands. Always.
He does. He's got 2 hands. He's always coming off the baseline. Look at this dish, though, by Rugby Right here. Over the back, over the shoulder. The dish is better than the dunk. What do you think, Tom?
Put it back behind the shoulder blades. I like that. Boom.
And he does come down with the 2 hands. Jackson Hilton from Brandon Valley, another high flyer coming off the baseline.
Yeah, these are the guys that make it look good. They're 6'4", whatever, mid-range guys that just can get out.
And how about Thorolingo, the god of thunder? What? The god of thunder on the Thunder Report. That's a JV game, by the way. Angak Akat. Again, looking for this guy. He's coming down the court, gets the back pass.
Going through people, that's nice.
And then Cole Jurgens, he gets hit on that. I don't know if you can see this. He gets hit on the way up, takes the contact, and that's his first dunk of his varsity career. And
Meyer and Parker's gym there.
Yeah. And then Grady Sherman of Viborg Hurley. He's gotten a game ball already this year. He's going to play football at Augustana, but I'll tell you what, I think he could play basketball.
So jealous.
And wouldn't that be fun?
So fun to be able to do that.
Wouldn't that be fun? It would be a lot of good fun. And I tell you what, those guys deserve a little pub for putting it down. But if you got any dunks that we missed, always send those in. Clip them to anything social media related with Midco SN or myself. And once a month, we put out the Thunder Report.
All right, coming up Friday on Midco Sports Network. Thursday, we've got a doubleheader. Harrisburg and Yankton are going to play at the Pentagon in Sioux Falls. Boys game should be fantastic. Harrisburg is 9-2. Yankton is 12-2. You and David Brown will be calling that one.
Yeah. What's
coming up?
Exciting. Those 2 teams have been contenders the last few seasons on the boys' side. And then on the girls' side, I really want to see what Harrisburg's got. They've got 3 really good returning starters from their team last year who have all played a terrific role this year, in Emily Boyer and Carolyn Haar, and, of course, their best player, Breckley Honner. I want to see how those girls come out. Only got 1 loss this year, but I think they could ratchet it up even more. But to kind of preview the game, we talked to some of the coaches, and we'll let them give you a little preview of what's to come.
You're 9-2. You're having a good season. What's clicking with this year's bunch specifically?
The scary thing is we're 9-2, and we had that one tough week, but that was a great week. Might have been our best week, even though we went 0-2 against Rosie and Wash, because we like our team, we love our team, but they just really needed to be exposed on, hey, this is why you can't cut corners. This is why you have to do all the little things. Because they've been getting by with their talent and making up for a few mistakes in our spacing, in our screening, and just maybe not being super clean offensively, if that makes sense, and just getting by with it because we're athletic and we can score. So that really exposed us. And I thought since last week against Wash, we've had really good practices. And last week we scored the basketball, and our quality of shots. If you look at Huron and in Watertown and even in Rapid City, our shot quality is a lot better. And when obviously you guys know that when your shot selection is better, your percentages go up. So being able to screen, being able to slip and move with spacing, with purpose, has really gotten us better looks. And that's why we're scoring back in the 60s. And if we score 60, 65, we really like our chances.
Harrisburg in particular, what are some of the keys for you guys to play with a top level team like that?
At transition, they're so good. Again, they're so good in transition. Seems like they score over half their points in transition. So how do you stop transition against a really good team that likes to run? It's hard, but first of all, you got to take care of the basketball. We have no defense for throwing them the ball for layups, so we just can't stop that. So we have to take care of it. We have to take good shots. We can't let our shot selection be their first pass of a fast break. So again, we have to run offense and not turn it over, and then get good quality shots, which is easier said than done. Like you say that, oh yeah, well just don't turn it over and make some passes and get a good shot. Well, against their athletes and their defensive pressure, that's tough to do. And so that'll be a big key for us. And then obviously with their athleticism, they're just so good getting out and running and finishing in transition. And then they get open shots with shooters and stuff. So protecting the basket in transition, stopping the ball, finding shooters, all those things are going to be extremely important. And then once you do that, it's not like they're easy to guard in the half court either. So we're going to have to really play, and we can't play them one-on-one defensively. We're going to have to play good, solid team defense. And then lastly, they're so athletic that they crash the offensive glass. So it's going to be a very physical game on the boards, I think. And I anticipate it usually is with Harrisburg. So our guys are going to have to be ready to rebound.
All right, Thursday night on Midco Sports Network, Harrisburg and Yankton from the Pentagon in Sioux Falls. Girls game at 6 o'clock, boys game right after that. Coming up on Thursday. Great games coming up on Tuesday. Let's get to the forecast, Jandy.
A lot of big games.
Explain how this works and what your thinking is with this. You show the matchup and then what?
So I take. It's really hard to pick these games, Tom. So I give them a percentage chance to win, and I was doing this for years, and now I see.
Instead of the money line, win or lose, you've got a
that like
percentage.
ESPN and all these people are doing the same thing,
yeah,
where they're giving the percentage chance to win. But I've been doing this for almost a decade, Tom, and my computer is pretty dang near flawless. It's because I always leave a percentage or two. It can go either way.
You've pioneered this formula for 10 years.
Yep, it's an algorithm that continues to evolve.
You're an algorithm. Let's get to it, boys. On Tuesday, Jandy, this is an A versus B matchup, I believe. Chamberlain and Platte Geddes. Chamberlain is 11-1. Platte Geddes is 10-2 right now.
Chamberlain, a team that isn't getting any love in the polls, but just the one loss on the year. They play a lot of Class B teams, and I think that's probably why they don't get quite as much respect. But they're a good, solid team. And then Platte Geddes has now lost 2 of their last 4. Can they get back on track and get a quality win against a tough team? That's going to be a really fun one.
And the percentage is?
I think Chamberlain's got a little bit of an edge here, and that would surprise some people.
Don't say 53%.
It's going to be a 52% chance of winning. I'm going to write that down. It is kind of a toss-up game, though, because Platte Geddes has the home court advantage. Chamberlain comes in with a little bit more firepower in my mind, though.
All right. Also on Tuesday, Class B, Canastota, 11-1 at Viborg Hurley. This is a Region 5 matchup between 2 very good teams.
People kind of forgot about Viborg Hurley just because they see that 3 next to their loss column. But I'll tell you what, they've only lost 1 game within the class. Same thing with Canastota. They just lost to DeSmet in the class. This is going to be a really good game. I think Viborg Hurley actually has a better chance to win this thing. They got a 58% chance. 58. You got to write this down as I go.
All right, 58%. Thursday in Class A, Sioux Valley is 12-1. Their only loss is to Dakota Valley so far. Flandreau is the home team here at 9-2. This is another region matchup in Class A, Sioux Valley at Flandreau.
That's why I like this one. It's a region matchup. Tash Lundy is a name you need to know from Flandreau. He is a double-double, walking double-double machine. Put him down on your list for all state players. And Sioux Valley, after losing that one kind of badly at the Hanson Classic to Dakota Valley, they're going to look for a statement game against a really good team. Sioux Valley comes into the favorites at 65%.
65. All right.
65%.
All right. Also Thursday, the game you just previewed with Yankton and Harrisburg. Harrisburg is going to play OGorman on Tuesday night before this matchup against Yankton. But Yankton is 12-2 right now. They're playing at the Pentagon, neutral court. Yankton and Harrisburg on Thursday.
Both coaches really stressed the importance of transition and getting points off of transition. It's going to be really interesting to see how Harrisburg D's up. Every game I watch Matthew Morris play, I want to see how the opposition is D'ing up Matthew Morris and how he handles that, sharing the ball or just taking over games. And to me, anytime you have Matthew Morris, you have a slight advantage. And again, we're in the 50s again. I always pick the close game here, Tom. A 55% chance of winning
For
Yankton.
For Yankton?
For Yankton.
What's the percentage Matthew Moore scores 20 or more?
20 or more. That would be 63%. 63%.
Really?
He's going to have trouble against this Harrisburg team because they're so athletic, though. But he's averaging over 20 points a game, so it's definitely over half.
But Yankton, slight fave. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Girls games. Friday.
Woo-hoo.
St. Thomas More and Winter. You are excited about this one. Winter's got some games coming up after this, too. But this matchup, St. Thomas More is 13-0. Winter is 12-1.
Bella Swedlin just set the record for all-time points at Winter last week, going over 1,600 career points. She's just a junior. It's going to be a lot of fun to see her go up against Haley Timmer, another great scorer out of St. Thomas More. Big test for both teams. You know, if this was maybe a month later, they maybe wouldn't show all their cards, but I think you're going to see the best version of these two teams going at it on the court. I think St. Thomas More is ranked number 1. I think Winter with that home court advantage takes a slight edge in this one, 55%, Tom.
55. All right. And Winter's got St. Thomas More, and then they play at White River coming up next week. So back-to-back huge games for Winter's girls.
Congrats to Winter on the scheduling. They've done a great job getting Corsica Stickney on the schedule, Mount Vernon Plankinton, St. Thomas More, White River. They are really trying to challenge themselves.
55%.
55%.
Saturday, OGorman and Aberdeen Central. OGorman will play at Brandon Valley on Tuesday before this matchup. But OGorman and Aberdeen Central coming up on Saturday.
And then Aberdeen Central has Roosevelt the day right before this game, too. So we've got two really good teams. The preseason number 1 in OGorman and last year's number 1 going against this year's undefeated and number 1 Aberdeen Central. Huge test for the Golden Eagles. They're at home, though. I think they come into this with about a 63% chance to win this thing, which is, for these close games, it's a pretty strong chance.
Yeah, all right.
We're not going to put in blowouts here, Tom. These are all between about 65 and 52%.
So much better than just picking them out.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Also Saturday in Madison, you got the NEC conference taking on the Dakota 12 conference. These are Class A matchups for the most part. Coming up in Madison, I think there's 12 games, something like that. So what's going on
Waiting
here?
to see how those match up, but you've got Hamlin and Roncalli out of the NEC, which will get paired up probably against like a West Central and maybe a Dakota Valley or a T. We're going to see how those matchups go. But I really want to see if Roncalli and Hamlin are for real, because Hamlin has really been playing well lately. Kylie Wadsworth had a 28-point game coming in last week. They do a great job of really running up the score. They can get into the 70s with no problem. So then you got them going against teams like T area. Katie Vasica came in this year as a transfer. She's been lighting it up for T. Put her next to Olivia Ritter, another really great scorer. I want to see how those two can go up against some of these NEC teams. So I'm going to wait and see how these matchups come up, but I'm really looking forward to a lot of those matchups. So I don't have a percentage on this one yet.
You're not putting a percentage on one conference versus
just
the other.
a fun game to watch. Make sure you check out the last couple games of that matchup.
51% NEC.
That's right. 51% chance of being games.
All right. And also on Saturday, Harriet Selby at HighmoreHarold in a girls matchup, both in the same region. Harriet Selby's 12-1 right now. HighmoreHarold is 12-0.
Two teams not even getting a sniff in the rankings right now.
Why not?
And the HighmoreHarold is undefeated. They're coming back with a lot of starters from last year. Their defense has been outstanding. They're starting to shoot the ball. I talked to Mike Ring a little bit, their head coach. He said, now that we're shooting the ball a little better, we really feel like we can be maybe a contender in Class B. Before, they had a lot of close games with maybe not some of the top teams, and that's why they're not getting love in the polls right now. but defensively they can match up. Now, they got to go up against Rachel Fiedler, an all-state player for Harriet Selby, and then Riley Rossau. They actually have two Rossaus on Harriet Selby who are over 6 foot. They have a 6'4" and a 6'1" post player, and that's an automatic mismatch for a lot of teams in Class B. So can HighmoreHarold match up with their bigs and shut down Rachel Fiedler? That's going to be a tall task. Harriet Selby is definitely the favorites here, even though they already have a loss. I think they're a 62% chance of winning this thing.
62?
Yeah. Bulletin board material from Mike Ring and HighmoreHarold.
All right, that's it for this week. But the Activities Association has had some meetings. We're talking about getting into the postseason.
Yeah.
There might be some combining of regions. We won't talk about a whole lot about that right now, but there are contingencies in place to hopefully get to the playoffs, to the SODAC 16s, and get to the state tournament.
I'm glad they're making these contingencies, but right now, I mean, we've had a pretty good year as far as percentage of playing games. Summit League hasn't had as much luck as high school basketball has at this point, and it was opposite during football season where there was a lot of missed games during football. So I really thought basketball would be much tougher to complete a season because you have such small rosters. I mean, 1 or 2 players, and boom, your whole team is infected. But they're really it's been handled very well. But you're right, the Activities Association, they're going to do everything possible to not have a repeat of last year, and I think everybody's looking forward to that.
Send your dunks to Jason. Send your game ball nominations to Jason.
And watch on Thursday night for David Brown and I in the Throwback Classic between Harrisburg and Yankton. That should be anytime you get a chance to watch Matthew Morris. We only have a few games left to watch him. He's, I think, number 7 on the all-time list for scoring right now in South Dakota, and he could come up a few more notches on that. He's already the AA leader, but I think he could reach the next couple still this season.
Great post by Josh Mueller on social media.
Yeah.
I think it was last
I
week.
think
About
Mueller-
he's number 1 on the list, but he's challenging all these guys to come get him. So
He loves it. No, he's not number 1. Krogman's number 1.
Yep.
But you're right. Mueller's a couple spots ahead of Morris and kind of saying, come on, get me.
all right, see you
Like
next
it.
week.